Docker run. We are starting to work with you on the contention of the application. Let's go to the global environment file and look at the following constants. env is responsible for the mod of the application. We said earlier there will be two mods, production and developer. We have now installed the production mod. Host, inside the container, the host locale is used with an IP that is all zeros. Redis, for our cache, we'll be using the Redis module. Let's describe for it, port, password and URL. Rabbit, for message queues we use. We need port 1, port 2, user, password and URL for connection. The secret is the internal key of the services that will be used for the security of the various connection modules. Common path, this is the path of our common module which is located on the npm server. Add minor ports, this is a port for the administration database, which we'll look at a bit later. Let's take a look at Docker Compose. It is necessary to describe and deploy our software. At this moment, we will connect Rabbit, Redis and admin for the database. Let's talk a little about the important parts of Docker. Docker Compose starts with versioning. In our case, it will be a stable version 3.1. All versions can be viewed on the official website. Here is all the updates with a description. All possible parameters and an example of their implementation. I advise you to read and familiarize yourself with them. Please note that from version to version, some parameters may not work or have a different name, be careful. Next, we must indicate the name of the network, in our case it is main. And the next is the service where the software will be directly described, which will be downloaded and installed on our local machine. Image, this is our version of the software installation. We will use the Docker Hub to select the version. Let's see in our case, go to the Docker Hub we can see the versions and description of a given image. Next, we describe the ports in the environment. All parameters will be taken from our global env file. Volumes are nothing more than links to static files. So that we don't go into the container and edit, for example, the configuration file, we can link them by volume. And this means that the Rabbit config will be read from our _volume directory, very convenient and simple. And of course, you need to link the network that we announced earlier. Redis, let's take a look at installing Redis. Image, we have it on a Docker Hub called Redis. We can see also the versions of the Redis and the description of the version. We will use Alpine version, more details can be found here. We also connect the port, password and forward the config file. We will not have a config file in the volume. This means that the default config will be taken, which will be during installation. Let's take a look at the commands property. This parameter is used to run console commands when installing Redis. In this case, we will set a password for the Redis, for better security. Admin, we need to view databases. The image will be located along this path. We also need a port where me is described in the global environment file. Let's run our services that we described in the Docker Compose file. Go to the README file and we will see that we will have helpers for working with Docker and instructions for launching the application. As we can see, in order to run our application, we need to create an environment configuration file. We have it, but it is empty. Let's fix it and copy everything that we have prepared earlier. Okay, starting Docker is done by the following commands. Let's go to the console and run the command. At the end of the command we should have the name of the service. As you can see, the launch will be successful. Let's check in the Docker interface that we have indeed created a project and our services. Yes, here they are. If we move on, we will see our 3 services with the status turned on. In Rabbit and admin, we have a browser interface that we can go through the port that we described in the environment file. Let's do it. Let's open a browser and check. We can also check the work through the console. Open the console and enter the following command, which will show all active containers that are currently running. Excellent, everything works and we can safely move on.